There are two brothers. Both grew up in the same house, attended the same schools, and started their careers around the same time. Today, one earns $80,000 a year. The other earns $45,000. And here's what makes this story strange. The one earning nearly double is the one who lies awake at night worrying about money. The one earning $45,000 sleeps fine. He has savings, investments, and zero credit card debt. If you asked most people to guess which brother feels more financially secure, they'd pick the wrong one every time. Because we're wired to believe that income is the answer. Earn more, stress less. Simple math, right? Except it isn't. Because money stress is almost never about how much comes in. It's almost always about the invisible gap between what comes in and what quietly leaks out through habits, purchases, and a way of thinking about stuff that nobody ever teaches you to question. The brother earning $45,000 discovered something most high earners never do. He learned that owning less isn't a compromise, it's actually a strategy, one of the most powerful financial strategies that exists. And today, I'm going to break down the minimalist money rules he lives by, rules that keep people financially stable regardless of what their paycheck says at the top. Before we get into the rules, let's understand the trap that catches almost everyone first. When most people start earning decent money, something automatic happens. The lifestyle expands. A bigger apartment feels justified. A newer car feels earned. Better clothes, nicer restaurants, upgraded gadgets, each one feels like a reasonable reward for working hard. And individually, every single one of those decisions is defensible. You earned it. Why not enjoy it? Here's the problem. Each upgrade doesn't just cost what it costs at the moment of purchase. Every new thing you bring into your life carries an ongoing price tag that most people never see coming. The new car needs insurance, fuel, maintenance, and parking. The bigger apartment needs more furniture to fill it. The upgraded wardrobe needs dry cleaning and storage. The stuff multiplies, and so do the costs attached to it. Meanwhile, every dollar tied up in things you own is a dollar that isn't growing anywhere. It isn't compounding, it isn't buying you future freedom. It's just sitting there, slowly depreciating, silently costing you money you didn't even realize you were spending. This is the trap, and the minimalist money rules we're about to cover are specifically designed to break it, not by making you miserable, but by making you intentional. There's a massive difference between those two things. Rule 01. Every purchase has two price tags. Learn to read both. The first price tag is obvious. It's the number you pay at checkout. The second price tag is invisible, and it's often bigger. It's the ongoing cost of ownership, the space the item occupies in your home, the time it takes to maintain, the mental attention it quietly demands, and the investment growth you gave up by spending that money instead of putting it to work. Think about a home gym setup. Let's say you spend $2,000 building it out. That's price tag 1. But price tag 2 includes the floor space it consumes, the equipment that needs occasional repair, and the $2,000 that, invested in a simple index fund, could grow to $6,000 or $7,000 over 15 years. You didn't just buy a gym, you bought a gym instead of something else. Minimalists are obsessive about price tag 2. They evaluate every purchase not just on what it costs today, but on what it continues to cost over time and what it prevents from growing. Rule 02. Use the true value test before spending anything. Before buying something, ask yourself one question. How many times will I realistically use this in the next 12 months? Then divide the cost by that number. That gives you the real cost per use, and it's the only honest way to evaluate whether something is actually worth buying. A $40 kitchen gadget you use twice a year costs $20 per use. That's an expensive tool for a cheap result. A $400 quality winter coat you wear 120 days a year costs just $3 per use. That coat is genuinely worth it. This one calculation, applied consistently, eliminates the majority of purchases people later regret. The math has no patience for impulse. It just tells the truth. Rule 03. Test every item you own with the honest removal question. Walk through your home and ask yourself this about every single item. If this quietly disappeared tomorrow, would I actually go out and replace it? Not could you, would you? Be brutally honest. That bread machine in the back of the cabinet, would you go buy another one? Those books you read once and haven't opened since, would you repurchase them? Most people discovered that a startling percentage of what they own they would not replace, which means those items are taking up space, time, and mental energy without giving anything meaningful back. Minimalists call this negative value ownership, and clearing it out doesn't just free up physical space, it frees up mental space in a way that's difficult to explain until you experience it yourself. Rule 04: never upgrade something that still works. This rule sounds obvious until you actually examine your own behavior. How many times have you replaced a phone that was working perfectly fine? How many times have you bought new furniture simply because you were bored looking at the old set? How many times has a newer model come out and made your current version feel suddenly inadequate, even though nothing about your current version actually changed? This is what consumer culture does. It manufactures dissatisfaction with things that are genuinely still functional. Minimalists define functional clearly and protect that definition fiercely. An item is functional until it genuinely cannot perform its job. Boredom is not a reason to replace it. A newer version existing is not a reason to replace it. The neighbor buying an upgrade is absolutely not a reason to replace it. Over a lifetime, refusing to upgrade things that work can save hundreds of thousands of dollars, money that instead builds real, lasting wealth. Rule 05: engineer your environment to make saving easy and spending hard. Willpower is a depleting resource. By the time most people reach the end of a stressful day, their ability to resist impulse purchases is nearly zero. Minimalists don't rely on willpower. They design their environment so that good financial decisions happen automatically and bad ones require extra effort. Practically, this looks like removing saved card details from online shopping sites. It means deleting shopping apps from your phone. It means setting a mandatory 24-hour waiting period before any non-essential purchase above a certain amount. On the savings side, it means setting up automatic transfers to your investment account the day your salary arrives, before you ever see that money sitting in your checking account. The moment saving becomes the default and spending requires extra steps, your entire financial trajectory shifts without you having to fight yourself every single day. Rule 06: calculate the full ecosystem cost before any major purchase. Nothing expensive comes alone. Every significant purchase drags an entire ecosystem of related expenses behind it. A boat is not just a boat. It's marina fees, a tow vehicle upgrade, safety gear, seasonal maintenance, insurance, and registration. A swimming pool is not just a pool. It's chemicals, cleaning equipment, a higher water bill, safety fencing, and landscaping. A large house is not just square footage. It's furniture to fill every room, heating and cooling costs that scale with size, and cleaning time that grows with the floor plan. Minimalists map out the full ecosystem before committing. They ask, what else will I need to buy, maintain, or pay for because of this single purchase? The real number is almost always significantly higher than the sticker price, and running that calculation honestly often reveals that what seemed like a reasonable purchase is actually a financial anchor in disguise. Rule 07: try before you own. Rent or borrow first. Human enthusiasm is wildly unreliable. We get excited about new hobbies and new identities, and we buy all the gear to support them before we've established whether the excitement will last longer than a few weeks. The result is garages full of expensive equipment from phases that ended quietly and without ceremony. The minimalist approach is to rent or borrow first, always. Want to get into cycling? Rent a bike for a month. Interested in photography? Borrow a camera from a friend before spending $1,000 on equipment. Thinking about camping regularly? Rent gear for 2 or 3 trips and see if the interest holds. This approach reveals whether the enthusiasm is real or just novelty, and it saves enormous amounts of money when it turns out to be the latter, which it frequently is. Rule 08. Define what enough looks like before you start spending more. This might be the most important rule of all, and it's the one almost nobody follows. Most people never define enough, so as their income grows, their spending grows with it, automatically, effortlessly, and without any conscious decision being made. They earn more, they spend more, and they feel just as financially pressured at $80,000 a year as they did at $40,000. The number changed, the stress didn't. Minimalists set a deliberate ceiling on their lifestyle. They decide in advance, this is the home that genuinely meets my needs. This is the car that gets me where I'm going. This is the wardrobe that covers every situation in my life. Then they hold that line as their income rises. Every dollar above that ceiling goes directly towards savings and investments rather than lifestyle expansion. The person who defines enough at $50,000 of annual spending and then grows their income to $100,000 isn't just comfortable, they're building wealth at a pace most people never experience. Rule 09. Measure your wealth by choices, not by things. The conventional way of measuring financial success is by what you own: the house, the car, the visible markers that say, "I've made it." Minimalists measure it differently. They measure it by what they're free to choose. Can you leave a job that's grinding you down without immediate panic? Can you take 3 months away to deal with a family situation? Can you say no to a high-paying opportunity that conflicts with your values? Can you take a risk on something you believe in without needing a guaranteed outcome? That kind of freedom, real optionality in how you live your life, only exists when there's a meaningful gap between what you earn and what you spend. The person earning $200,000 but spending $195,000 has almost no real choices. They're chained to their income. The person earning $60,000 and spending $35,000 has an enormous amount of freedom. Their money doesn't just sit in things, it buys them the ability to live life on their own terms. That is what actual wealth feels like. Rule 010. Declutter in small, consistent cycles, not in dramatic annual purchase. Most attempts at minimalism follow the same pattern. A big, energetic clean-out happens. Things get donated and sold. The space feels incredible. Then slowly, month by month, things start accumulating again. Within a year or two, the space looks exactly like it did before the purge. The burst of effort produced a temporary result because nothing about the underlying system changed. Minimalists avoid this by making decluttering a regular, low-effort habit rather than an occasional, overwhelming event. A quick scan of what came into the house this week. A monthly review of one category: shoes, electronics, kitchen items. A quarterly look at overall accumulation. Small and consistent beats large and irregular every single time. And the regular habit does something the annual purge never can. It builds awareness. When you're paying attention to your possessions consistently, you start noticing the patterns that drive accumulation in the first place. And awareness, in the end, is what changes behavior for good. Here's the deeper truth underneath all 10 of these rules. Minimalism and financial stability aren't just connected, they reinforce each other in a cycle that feeds itself. When you own less, you spend less on maintenance, storage, and upkeep. That frees up money to save and invest. As your savings grow, you feel more financially secure. And as that security grows, something interesting happens. The emotional pull to go out and buy things starts to weaken. because a lot of what drives overconsumption isn't genuine desire for the things themselves. It's the temporary relief that spending provides when you're feeling financially anxious. When the anxiety goes away, so does most of the compulsion to fill that void with purchases. This is the virtuous cycle. Less stuff leads to more savings. More savings leads to more security. More security leads to less emotional spending. Less spending accelerates savings further. Each rotation of the cycle pulls you further from financial stress and closer to the kind of stability that doesn't depend on your next paycheck arriving on time. The destructive cycle runs the exact opposite direction. Spending everything creates anxiety. Anxiety drives more spending as a form of temporary comfort. More spending deepens the financial pressure. The pressure drives more anxious spending, and it continues until something external forces a breaking point. Understanding which cycle you're currently in and choosing to switch is one of the most consequential financial decisions you will ever make. Let's make this tangible. Here's where to start, right now, without overhauling your entire life at once. This week, pick one category in your home. Clothing, kitchen tools, or electronics are good starting points, and apply the honest removal question to every item in it. Pull out anything you wouldn't genuinely replace if it disappeared. Sell what has value, donate the rest. Don't overthink it. The goal is just to see what it feels like to remove things that aren't serving you. This month, introduce the 24-hour rule for every non-essential purchase. Anytime you feel the impulse to buy something that isn't planned, give it a day. Track how many of those impulses survive the waiting period. Most won't. The data will show you in real numbers how much of your spending is driven by genuine need versus momentary emotion. This quarter, define your enough number. Sit down and honestly map out what your life actually requires to function well and feel satisfying. What home is genuinely sufficient? What transportation actually serves you? What wardrobe covers every realistic situation in your life? Write it down. Then compare it to what you're currently spending. The gap between those two numbers is where your future wealth is hiding. And starting today, automate your savings. Set a transfer to happen the day your pay arrives. Even if it's a small percentage to begin with, make it automatic. Remove the decision from the equation entirely. What you don't see, you don't spend. And what you consistently invest, no matter how modestly, starts compounding in your favor from day one. Remember those two brothers at the beginning? The one earning $80,000 with nothing to show for it, and the one earning $45,000 sleeping soundly at night? The difference between them was never income. It was a set of quiet, consistent decisions about what was worth owning, what was worth upgrading, what was worth spending on, and what wasn't. One of them let his lifestyle silently consume every raise he ever received. The other kept his lifestyle deliberate and let the difference build into something real. These minimalist money rules aren't about living in an empty room or depriving yourself of the things that genuinely matter to you. They're about understanding that most of what we accumulate doesn't actually make our lives better, it just makes them heavier. And lighter lives, financially speaking, move faster toward freedom. The question worth sitting with isn't, how do I earn more? The question is, what am I carrying right now that isn't taking me anywhere? Because the moment you start putting that down, everything else gets easier. Not just financially, in every way that actually counts. If this gave you a new way of thinking about money and ownership, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to keep going deeper into how money really works, the psychology, the habits, the quiet decisions that separate people who build wealth from people who don't, stick around. That's exactly what this channel is for.